More than 2 years since a tragic shooting at Michigan State University.
Tonight, a settlement. Good evening, everyone. I'm Taryn Asher.
And I'm Rup Raj. And now many are asking, why did Michigan State pay while lawsuits against Oxford High School were tossed out by a judge?
Fox 2's Charlie Langton joins us live in the studio with what makes this case different, Charlie.
It's a very good question, Taryn. MSU did reach a $30 million settlement with 3 student survivors of that tragic shooting that occurred back in February of 2023. Now, 3 were killed, 5 were injured. But what is the difference between this MSU school shooting and the one at Oxford High School, where the victims there got nothing? February 13th, 2023, a 43-year-old gunman enters 2 buildings on the campus of Michigan State University and opens fire. Hours later, 3 students were dead and 5 injured. Now, more than 2 years later, a settlement.
Is a combined $30 million enough for these 3 people? No.
But MSU is a public school, just like Oxford High School, and yet multiple judges threw out lawsuits filed by the victims in Oxford. But state pays, and pays millions. Attorney Mick Graywall represents 2 of the victims in this latest $30 million settlement.
Honestly, it's not enough. There's no amount of money you can get paid to be shot.
Essentially, the attorney found an exception to governmental immunity that would allow a lawsuit to go forward. That exception? If the building has a defect which caused the shooting, governmental immunity doesn't apply. It's as simple as putting locks on doors.
Had they followed up with that and put locks on the doors, these 5 individuals would not have been injured, and the 3 people that were killed would not have been killed.
And what's worse, MSU knew it had a security problem.
There was internal communications with professors and the university, internal complaints that the building doors did not lock. This was all done prior to the mass shooting.
In a statement from MSU, they feel for the victims of the shooting and say, while the university cannot comment on any specific settlements, we truly hope reaching a resolution helps provide some measure of relief, support, and care to impacted individuals and their families.
They did the right thing by coming to the table to resolve these cases for the benefit of these students. I give them credit for that. And in this day and age where institutions don't do the right thing, they actually did.
Let me just say a couple things about the settlement. There were 3 survivors, very tragic. One of them was shot in the head, another one was shot in the back and is paralyzed, and another one was shot in the lungs, and he's going to have problems. All of them will have lifelong problems. Now, let me say another thing. There were 3 students shot at MSU. They actually made a settlement about a year ago. They each got $5 million. And so now these are 3 of the 5 survivors. There are still 2 more cases that are outstanding, and we understand that they are perhaps in the process of a settlement or talks anyway, without filing a formal lawsuit.
So MSU must have recognized that obviously with the building, the situation there, that it was open to the public, and that was an issue with governmental immunity. They wanted to stop it before it went too far and perhaps could even cost them more in the long run?
Yes, exactly right. Because legally, to say it legally, is that there are exceptions to governmental immunity. Not many.
Not many,
but there
right.
are exceptions. And one of them is called a building exception. So if you go into a government building and you slip and fall because the thing is cracked, that's a building defect. And at MSU, they had a building defect because they didn't put a lock on the door. They didn't have any security. They didn't do enough to protect the building. The building was the problem. Compare that to Oxford, where Oxford, unfortunately, arguably, the administrator didn't check the backpack, didn't take the kid out of class, the shooter out of class, the counselor, those everything. But that's a people issue. There's no exception for governmental immunity when the negligence is for the people. But there is if it's for the building. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It really, well, it makes sense in the way that they're able to pointed out the difference, I guess, in terms of the building, because it is written in that governmental immunity
It's black
law.
and white.
Yes.
It's a building exception.
But it does make it harder, I think, for all the
I certainly hope
involved.
that they've made the changes now. I know that students were protesting in the weeks after, saying we need to lock these buildings up. And we hope, of course, that they've made those changes.
You guys went to these schools, so you know this campus very well, but they did make the changes. So give some credit to MSU doing the right thing in 2 ways. First of all, at least making a settlement, not going through court. And 2, by taking care of those issues, making sure that this campus is safe. And at least looks like now that could they do more? They probably could, but they're doing it right now. But again, I think what you're referring to, we're going to get a lot more discussion on governmental immunity and the exceptions and how this really plays well. And what is fair? Is it fair to have a building exception and if people in Oxford get zero? There's got to be somewhere in between, and I think we're going to get into that.
It's going to take lawmakers to make that happen. So.
Legislature. There you go.
Thanks, Charlie.
Talk to them if you have an issue with anything you heard. Talk to your lawmakers. That's what we can do. Thanks, Charlie.